Welcome to Park County's own Hurricane Hill Botanicals, where it's been said you'll find the best handcrafted soap on the planet. In addition to that, we've got a great selection of essential oils, body care products, even CBD products. Can't miss out on our big selection of herbal teas, smudge sticks, even incense. Check our website for hours.
As far as the policy to regain his seniority from 2 years ago so that his vacation and sick time, or his vacation time accumulates at the rate for a person that had 2 years prior service.
All right, so his experience factors into the accrual of the time. But
Gotcha.
as far as rank amongst the officers, he's not being reinstated.
Can I have
Yes, you guys take a look at that, and then we'll move to pass that resolution.
I'll attach it to
You want to take a look at that, Sandy?
So I think that doesn't have that language modified though. Is that the modified version?
No.
John, do you have a recommendation on this matter as president?
Yeah, I moved that we pass the resolution, but I just wanted to make sure that we've had this sticking point of the seniority question that we wanted to get the language correct.
Okay.
Right.
And,
And so I don't think the chief's recommendation was for it to be rank-wise. It was just to be accumulation of the time.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, I just want to make sure again legally it's safe.
We're striking seniority about all the changes, right, Nick?
Yes, that's correct.
I will second.
Because then
that
you and I will
motion.
have to sign that. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Who seconded that, I'm sorry? Lily. LDW.
Yep.
The clerk treasurer just needs that copy of the resolution so
I
that she
usually
can
prefer
do the
LAW
bookkeeping
because
part.
my middle name's A and then it's law.
Now, are we going to print out another one?
Yeah, we are.
Okay, so you want to sign another one, so.
Okay.
I'll discard.
Should have the correct date and time on it.
Okay.
Oh, you got good. Pretty good, Randy. You did this.
Does that help?
Yeah.
John actually filled out most of that beforehand, but
I always try to send him one, then Randy
I just
usually has to
added
redo the whole
some
thing,
stuff
so. Usually takes mine and rewrites it, so,
I just add a few things.
yeah. All right, I believe at this time we're ready to discuss our applicants and board's recommendations, thoughts, before we move to, vote on a selection. In the matter of Mr. Maiden, Tristan Maiden, what are your thoughts? Anybody have any thoughts?
I'm glad we interviewed him. I think he did a very nice job interviewing.
Okay.
I would like to see him spend more time as a reserve deputy and volunteering, since he is already a deputy in reserve, to
Okay.
put more time into that position.
Okay. Lydia, you have any thoughts, or?
I agree. I think he needs a little more experience.
All right. I concur. I believe some extra time as a reserve, will continue his development and, help him along the way. So, and I know there was a matter of getting him up on his training. I know he still has some training you guys wanted him to finish. And
Tristan, right now he's in his own car, but he has to work with another officer.
Okay.
That way there's somebody there to guide him.
Because we needed a little clarification.
okay. All right.
I would like to start by thanking the ladies for making our job extremely difficult.
Yes. Yeah, you both, in our opinion, interviewed very well, very confident, and I think you're on the right path. Wherever it takes us, I really do. I think you're on the right path as far as this line of work, and we do appreciate, you put that application in and you sit there and listen to us and hanging out with these guys, that couldn't be easy. And but we do appreciate it.
Not talking about me.
I think both of you are qualified to meet the minimum expectations that at least I have as a new commission member. And I feel, as a citizen that's lived here since 1990, it's wonderful to see young ladies in the process of applying to join the force. And I would hope that if those that are not selected, because this is a conditional letter offer of employment for either of you, that remember you still have to pass these tests. And we would hope that the person, at least I would hope that the person that's not selected, they don't meet the requirements statutorily required, that we could rely on the runner-up, so to speak, tonight to be to fill in that need if they could then pass the test and the training is required. I came in differently this evening after having read well-prepared resumes on both of you. I thought you both interviewed incredibly well. You both exceeded my personal expectations tonight of what I had hoped that the town of Rockville could and choose hire for a citizen of Park County to join our force.
Thank you, sir.
Okay. Lydia, have any comments or?
I concur with everything he said. I think
Yeah,
they
I think
both did an excellent
Did
job.
Mm-hmm. Okay, on the applicant Hannah Gentile, what's everybody's thoughts?
I move that we hire her.
Okay,
I can second that.
okay, take a roll call vote. All in favor, or raise your hand if you're in favor. Okay, you want to record that?
Who made the motion?
Doug.
Doug. Second, Liddy.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Law.
Yep.
And John Frank.
Mm-hmm.
Law. You gotta be in favor. Sandy Bemis. Kevin. Okay. Roger.
Okay. So, of course, that leaves us with Ms. Long. It's my opinion at this time, it's not the right time. Very qualified. It's not that at all. And we do encourage you to keep pursuing this, this path, because I think you're on the right path. I really do. And your answers were on point, and you're very confident. And again, that's good to see. And I hope you will consider, staying on as a reserve. And and there'll be more openings down the road. I'm sure of it. In our little towns, we seem to see our guys come and go. We'd like y'all to stay a little longer, of course, if we could, but that's our long-term goal, is have y'all stay in the community and be a part of this community like you mentioned in your interview. So, but we do appreciate your consideration.
Yes. And if she does not meet her requirements to be hired, I would hope that you will still join us. Okay. We had a
Trust us, it was very tough.
Yeah.
It was tough.
I understand.
okay.
Both of you would be a huge asset. So hang around for us.
Please do.
Yeah, please do. You never know where the medical and the other screenings are going to take us, and sometimes it seems like forever before we find out, waiting on results of tests and then on that process. So,
Well, and with that in mind, I just started back here in 2016, and I'm the next senior guy next to Bill. So openings do come and go here, so it can happen quickly.
And you both interviewed beautifully.
Yes.
It was
Yes,
a very
yes.
hard decision, and it was little things, so something that we will be happy to accept with either one of you if one of you can.
There wasn't a wrong choice.
no, nobody said anything wrong, did anything wrong. We're left with two, very qualified people. So we have to make that decision as best we can, and hope for good things from everybody. So, do you have any questions now that we select you? Congratulations.
Thank you so much.
We look forward to, seeing good things from you down the road, and hopefully these other processes won't trip you up.
I don't see a reason they would.
Yeah, I don't either. I really don't. You know, between the medical, psychological, the fitness stuff is always, especially this time of year, the last thing you feel like doing is going out in the snow and working out, right? But those things you have to do, and the chief and his folks will work with you on all of that.
Yep.
Okay.
So, okay. If you have any questions?
I'd just like to thank you guys for the opportunity. It's been amazing.
Well, thank you.
It's just a process. We're not done.
I understand.
Did I understand that correctly? Did you put her on as a reserveman?
I think we want to do that. I know you had an opening.
Yes.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, definitely. If you're interested, and we definitely love to have you
Yeah, for sure.
as a
Do
reserve.
we need a motion?
I'll move.
I'll second.
You many crickets.
All in favor? Say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay.
Frankie,
All right. Good deal.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Frank,
Thank you very much.
Reserve.
We believe both of you will serve the citizens of Rockville well. I mean
Yes.
that respectfully.
Thank you, sir.
Hey,
All right. You can hang out and listen to us talk about boring stuff if you want, or if you want to.
Find
Need
out
to
have a
what's
beer?
going on. I don't know, are they open up?
I know, barely.
I checked out.
Yeah.
Okay, they were barely old enough, but yeah.
okay.
All right. Do we have any old business? I don't believe we had any because we haven't had a regular meeting.
No.
Maybe this would be a good time for you to give us another update on the vest. My head was kind of
Yes.
somewhere else when you were talking about that earlier.
So the 6 vests that the town approved to pay for have been ordered, and everyone else had been measured, with the exception of 2 new positions. We received an additional grant from the Community Foundation for $7,500, so I was able to order 7 more vests. And I have submitted a application for a grant to Marathon Oil Company, who has pipeline in this area that we could be called upon to respond to in emergencies.
And we have.
And we have
Yeah.
in the past. That looks like a good avenue for the additional funding. The only thing that we're missing right now is funding for the 2 additional vests and the added stop shop plates, you call them, but they're Dayton Armory plates. They're thinner, smaller, and way less. So
How
that
much are we
additional,
short?
I think it's, I've got it, and I thought I sent it, I didn't send it to you guys. It's right around 15,000 or less. But I cut out 2 vests for the chaplains. But I think the churches may help with some of that too. So I've got to check with them still too, but I haven't applied any others because I didn't want to apply for 4 different grants and get approved on all of them and have more money than I have to account for than what. The other side of that is I'm going to ask the town board to establish a cumulative fund that will build up every year, put $5,000 in it, and if we need a vest this year, then we buy 1 vest out of it. Then the remaining money will build up for next year. So that when we come to a point in 15 or 10 or 5 years that we have a large number of people that need replaced, then we'll have the money built up for that kind of thing. And that's a question that was asked from me on every grant application. Officer Fisher, I think, just came in. He's got a place in Terre Haute that gives grants also, and he's going to apply to them for active shooter kits, like the ones we carry in the car now, but they're a lot lighter. The ones we carry now are pretty heavy, and if you had to wear them for very long, you're going to get wore out. If it's hot out, if you had to be outside an extended time, it would wear you down pretty quick.
So you're actively looking at 5 different grants additional to help make this up.
One right now.
Okay. I'm a new commission member. You understand that, Randy. I would like to see as we move forward, as you, prior to actually submitting these grant applications, that you share it with the commission. So all of us at different times have been on grant selections, and and we want nothing but the very best to get the fullest amount. So I would just entertain that before we make application in future grants that they're run by John, and John will share with the commission, and we'll get back with you in just a day or two, and you can proceed.
Sure, and I can do that. I can send it to you in an email.
Well, the same goes for
I
all the
received
deliberations on types of vests. I know we had some of that conversation, but everything was kind of in flux. There were a lot of moving parts, moving fast, because there was a lot of urgency put on getting vests. Because
Well,
I do want us to explore the options of cost of non-fitted versus fitted. I've heard
Especially for
both.
reserves that don't work much.
Right.
Yeah. And I'm okay applying for 4 or 5 grants at the same time, and hopefully we'll get a little bit from everybody, and we'll reach our $16,000 goal.
And it'd be good when everyone comes down here and looks at the
Yes.
vesting, because
I
we
mean,
did that, and I
It was
had
very
a
enlightening
totally
when I came in
different
and sat and
opinion.
listened. Yeah.
Well, I think also on to your point about the grant writing, you know, we like to wore ourselves out with the Ritz, getting that marquee done and all that stuff with the different grants, and very grateful. But we also, one of the biggest things that we found that we did in a lot of cases is we overshot what we were asking for.
Right.
And so if they
So-
see all of a sudden, hey, I want $100,000 from the Indiana Historical Film Commission, yeah, I got zip. Where if you ask somebody, you ask REMC for $3,000, and you get it.
Well,
Right.
So
I
that's
mean,
that's
we have
part
a
of the
goal
thing.
of raising, respectfully, $15,000, $20,000, and we apply 5 places, and we ask for 3 or 4 or 5 from all of them.
You got it.
We're going to be there.
Right, because we will face that down the road. If we replace everything in a year, then 5 years potentially from now, we're going to have to replace them all again,
Right.
potentially.
And if
Depending on, I know the plates
which
can
is why
have
the town's
different
gonna put it
levels.
in a budget.
Yeah,
Right. And
then-
there's other groups that will, if they're just aware, like we're on camera obviously this evening, they hear that we have a need, there may not be a grant application, they may just choose to donate $500 or $1,000 towards these vests.
And that's a big avenue. I was going to bring it up to you, actually, just to you, Randy. Was I know that when we were in business in Longville Key in Florida with a management company and blah blah blah, and we relied on the Longville Key Police Department for a lot of things. We ended up our company ended up buying like 5 or 6 of the vests for Longville Key Police Department, which is probably the same size as RPD actually,
Right.
and money well spent. It helped our business. You know, so that's private business is a good way to go.
Yeah, and we do have a couple other avenues around here too. It's just
Especially banks, they want to make sure their money's safe.
just on that same note, I'll be here since 2016 in April. I've obtained about $300,000 worth of grant money for the department. That's a combination, but most of that, probably 80% of that has been non-matching grants for vests, for radios, portable radios, mobile radios, radar trailers. There's an abundance of equipment, so I've been pretty successful in writing the grants too, but I also have a grant company that Police One sponsors, and we are subscribed to that, and they review the grants also before I submit them. But I will gladly submit them to you too.
well, we just want to see what we're buying, and be part of the process, so we can hopefully ask some good common sense questions, and generally most of the questions we've asked you've had answers for. So just be part of that process, and maybe make some improvements department wide on tracking when things are coming due. Like I seen in the paper where you recently talked about tasers. Maybe the company that we have now is awfully expensive, where you could do better somewhere else. And
There's only one company, Taser.
uh-huh.
There's other companies that sell them refurbished and cheap, and that's what we told the town board about was our grant. Our contract with Taser was going to be up here in a month or two. That was a 5-year contract that the town agreed to pay into, and it spread the payments out over 5 years. But it also gave us unlimited cartridges for training, and every time we used one, they replaced it. But the new to do that again now, they want, it's like $27,000 over 5 years. And it's not economically feasible for us to do that.
Right.
The tasers we have still work. And until they quit working, we'll continue using them. So we don't have to worry about that. And that's what, so you'd like me to bring budget stuff to you too, besides the town board? I just want to get this clear because this is something new, because I've never done that before. And I always have to have the town board's approval on everything. But now I gotta get your approval and the town board's approval?
You know, ours is it's not as much as approval, it's just where are we spending our money. So if the town board does have questions for the commission, we know that we're making expenditures or requests for this, that, or the other. It doesn't that we have to rubber stamp what it is you want to buy, but just that we know that they're purchases that are coming up. How are we tracking them? Did they sneak up on us? You know, did we know about it as well in advance? Just so we can be in the conversation as questions arise, and they will. There'll be questions, so we need to be part of that process. We're not going to approve it as far as fiscally. You know, that's the town the town board, but we need to know what's moving out there.
Okay, so with that in mind, I'll start sending you guys a copy in the email of every expenditure I submit to them.
I don't think we need to do that.
You don't want those?
No.
We just
No.
want to make sure come the end of the year you're at or under budget.
Yeah.
With that in mind, let me show you what
Okay.
I got for the budget.
I have a taser question too.
Okay. I knew that recently come up. That topic did, and so
The taser and the budget things.
All of it.
yeah, all of it. But the taser is just one of the more recent ones. It was actually in the minutes and about not redoing that contract.
So
that
I
they
asked
had
for a
and-
copy of the budget from the clerk treasurer's office. This is what I received.
Right.
Hey, can I ask a taser question?
Absolutely.
Will
that's what we
they
got.
wear
It's
out
probably that thing Park
maybe
is.
five, I
Yeah,
know
I
you
think-
don't
I
know,
think she had
but
sent me
can
that
you
too.
do that so that
That's what we
when
got the
5
meeting.
wear out, you can do that, so it's not
Yeah.
all of them, how many do you have altogether?
Right now, we've got
I mean, that's not what it looked like when it
8,
was
I think.
submitted.
Oh.
And so like the reserves, they can come in here and pick one up off the desk. But they were offering us $200
But
trade-in
Park said that's what he got,
That's what he
for
said he
the,
got from
for the
Randy.
tasers we have.
so you can't have it both ways.
We were currently, that budget didn't have any salaries in it, so I had to add it up from the salary ordinance myself to submit with the grant applications, because they want a copy of our budget.
Right. We'll finish up with saying
Anyway.
this question, and then I'll get back with you here.
Those
No,
8
I didn't
tasers.
realize we only had 8 tasers, I
Okay.
thought maybe we had 27
Oh,
tasers.
Oh,
Gotcha.
no.
And they want $27,000 to replace those 8?
Yeah, right now, we are
And
paying
the service contract that we go along with that.
$2,232 a year on our service contract, which gives us everything. That was for 5 years. The new one they want $4,032 per year for 5 years, and we have to pay, no, excuse me, they wanted, for the all-inclusive, with the free replacements of cartridges, was $57.50 a year for 5 years.
So you have 6.
But they give us $200 trade-in back on the ones we already have, which it's just, if they've kind of got the market.
Yeah. Yeah,
The
there's
taser's
no
not treating
competition.
you any different than they are
No, everybody. So they're gonna lose business.
LA County Pacific Division, because they're gonna fire theirs off 40 times a weekend, you're gonna
Right.
fire yours off
Right.
once a month.
So we found another company that sells refurbished tasers for $5.99. So if we have a problem and one of them breaks down and we need to replace it, we'll probably try to go this route.
Right. Right.
Okay?
So how much will that be to replace one?
$5.99.
$5.99.
Yeah, not $5,750 a year for 5 years. That's just ridiculous.
Now, we recently met with the town council, and part of the meeting was simply just to talk about communication about the council, between our board, between the department, and just how we can better communicate our needs, wants, and desires. Okay, and from our perspective, if you have a need as a department or a request from the town council or from us, or if you have something you need from them, be it the clerk treasurer, be it the town council, and you don't think you're getting what you want, then that's when we need to have our conversations between all of us. That way we can just make sure that they understand where we're coming from and yourself. And I know you've had these off and on throughout the years, but we want to clarify some of that and stand up for the department when we need to, and stand up to the department when we need to.
And we appreciate that, because you have had to do that, and we appreciate that very much. I do know that I talked to the board president last week, and we cleared some things up before the town board meeting.
Mm-hmm.
And I do not have issues with anybody personally. I do
Okay.
have an issue when we're trying to disband the police department or cut it down to size every meeting. And I have issue with going to a public meeting and discussing the same thing every meeting for 6 months. And think we have it straightened out until we come back to the next meeting and they bring the whole thing up again. Like we've never discussed it and want it clarified once again.
We have requested, just so you know, that matters involving the department, whenever they can, be directed to us, to come to you. And I'm not saying they can't ask you budget questions, they won't have questions of some kind, but we want that flow to come through the commission more so than maybe years past, just so we can be a good advocate for the department and for the town. I mean, ultimately, we're all interested in the same thing, but we want that line of communication to run through us as much as possible.
Sounds good
If
to
that
me.
means they pass their complaints on to us about things that officers are doing or not doing, well, that's fine. That's what we do, right?
It's kind of what we recommend, just to keep a clear delineation of roles.
Yes.
I mean, complaints and that type of thing need to be run through us.
And we've asked them specifically if there are citizens that appear at public meetings and during the public comment period, if they have questions specifically, we've specifically requested them, the town, to say that they need to come and make an appointment with the commission and thank them for coming and not further discuss it at that point.
And or fill out a complaint form.
Yeah,
Right.
and I'd say always insist on that complaint form to start. And that way we document it and we can follow up on it. But the idea is to take some of that
And it should come here.
gray
not
area
down.
out of the equation. So
Thank you.
hopefully that'll pay dividends. And we do have some conversations we do want to have about budget, not so much about what you're approved to buy, but just how are we tracking for future considerations. We have a little bit of historical data to use to start formulating budgets for down the road, and we have some ideas about that. I know we've said this for the last 6 or 8 months, but we just need to to set aside the time to really go over that.
We can do that.
And the town council seemed receptive to what we were saying.
Good.
I mean, it seemed it wasn't an acrimonious meeting at all. I think it was a good meeting and good discussions and good frank discussions.
Well,
It was over 2 hours long, correct?
It was,
Good.
yes.
one issue that just recently came up that we've discovered is that on the PERF 77 plan, we were under the assumption that your retirement is based on 3 highest paid years of salary. That is not true. I forwarded the booklet to you in the email just a short while ago so that you can look at it. But every year the town board is supposed to give a certified salary of a first-class officer. Now, they haven't done that. Right now it's based at $32,000. So these guys' pensions, besides me and Bill, are based on $32,000 a year, which is not. That hasn't been the salary for some time. The clerk treasurer is not sure whether that's supposed to be the highest salary or the lowest. So, and I said, well, that really can't be true either, because departments that are involved in the 77 plan have guys that are sergeants and lieutenants and captains and have 25 years
So-
experience
So
and
it's the
30 years.
highest non-promoted officer.
Yeah, it's the highest non-promoted.
If I recall
But
correctly,
I'm in the process of researching this right now, Randy.
when it was formed, there was a discussion about that, and I believe a former clerk treasurer said that was what he was going to set it at. But my guess is it should have been adjusted as salaries were.
So I've been asked to research that, and I'm currently researching that. But so it's something that's being looked into, Randy.
Okay, so I sent you the handbook, which has all those rules in
That'd
it.
be real helpful.
And with teachers, it is the 5
Yeah,
years.
5 highest paid years.
Yeah.
Which I think Bill and I's old PERF plan is probably based off of that too, your 3 highest paid years of salary. And it's average.
77 fund's kind of a different animal though,
Yeah,
as far as versus perf. But
It's a good thing they're getting that extra percentage since they're not getting their.
And I think that's also an example of what John was just talking about, where even though that is a budget item on some level, that rather than you button heads with the town clerk over something like that, share it with the commission. Maybe we can express our questions / concern, whatever, with the town board, and go that way.
and I didn't butt any heads with her or anything, I just asked her about it, and she said that they'd have to research it a little further to figure out where that's supposed to be set, but the town board has to set that annually according to the,
And we started
Those
that in what,
regulations.
17?
yeah, it's supposed to have been started in 16,
I've been here since 18,
Oh,
so it
you
was
were
at
hired.
least 7
That's right.
years before
That's
me.
right.
but it didn't get enacted. In fact, the first 2 years I was here, I didn't contribute anything to perf.
Well, yes, I
The
remember
town
that.
didn't, so. they've
But
got-
that was taken
apparently
care
got it
of,
straightened
right?
out.
Yeah.
See, when you go onto on the perf site, it doesn't really give you the town's contributions, it only gives you what you've put into it, so it's kind of confusing. But other than that,
Well, again, we just want to keep the lines of communication open, and again, work with you and for you, and again, like I said earlier, and for the town as well. I mean, that's we're interested in doing the right thing by everybody, but there's some fights you shouldn't have to fight alone, and they don't have to be fights, but some discussions you don't need to have alone. It could be a meeting between the commission, the interested parties, just like we're doing right here,
yeah,
and that way all the parties are involved, and Nick would have opportunity to have done some research perhaps, and give us our good legal standing there, and
well, we've submitted those forms that you gave us with every
yes.
bill, and they're signing them and giving them back to us, so we're keeping track of that.
And she actually said that she liked that concept. That way, we do have you have a tracking thing, they have a tracking thing.
Right.
It's for what was submitted and what wasn't, and hopefully you can, when you're reconciling your records, you can use those as helping to do that. So
We still don't know what happened to all the firearms money and training money.
Well, that's a conversation we need to have then, and it could be at our next meeting. And invite the parties again. Here's where we're at this point, and here's what it seems to show that we are now. Okay,
Yeah, like how did
reconcile
we
that for
spend
us.
$10,000 on training when we were in quarantine the whole year?
Yeah. Well, but part of the thing, even the budget you showed us earlier, part of that submittal process we give you, that transmittal form we give you, is you can actually identify where you want that to be.
And I do on every one of those
Yeah,
forms. I
that
do.
way, if it's continuing education and you've done a lot of training, you want the money to come out of that, just so we can start seeing where we really spend our money. That's part of that whole process we want to get to. So,
Like the building belongs to the town.
mhm.
So the repairs and stuff, is that supposed to come out of the police department's budget?
I
Or
think
should
I
be
think
coming
what
out
you're
of the
seeing,
town's budget?
I think what you're seeing right now though, what's skewing everything, is everything's being paid out of the general. So, but even having said that, we can still track where we think it should be spent for future references. Okay, so as we're formulating budgets for down the road, we know that if you got the heating and air fixed, that shouldn't have been a public safety charge,
Right.
right? Or a canine fund. That would be a general fund item. So I think the thing that we've developed will allow us, we can still delineate that, and they're going to do whatever they're doing with the general fund right now for whatever the reasons are, and they seem to be legitimate reasons. But we still need to be able to see where it would be applied when necessary.
Yep. And just, John, with this budget, you didn't turn these numbers in for this
We need
budget
to do
the
that.
Park gave us?
No.
We talked about it a bit.
Because, correct me if I'm wrong, that's what Park said in that meeting. These are the numbers, these are the figures we got from Randy.
I didn't have anything with red numbers and stuff on it.
Well, I'm not talking about
I've got
the colors, I'm talking about the numbers. I mean, do you have mechanic repairs, police, $18,000 in your budget?
Yes, I do.
Okay.
And operating expenses, was it 20,000?
20,000, fuel 20,000?
But they've been taking everything out of operating, so
What I'm saying is all these numbers, when Park says that he got these numbers from you, these are your
They
numbers.
should be.
Okay.
Why don't you provide
But
what
not
you
all of
provided the town to John?
I can do that.
Yeah.
In fact, I think I did provide you guys with the budget request for last year, because the budgets are usually set in June,
Right.
but it's never finalized till January 1st when we do the salary ordinance.
That's all right. We want to tighten it up. Let's formalize it a little more. Let's put it in, type it up. If you want to do it in a spreadsheet, if you want to do it in a memo. That way we've got a chance to review it. So if we are quizzed by the town council, we have,
I actually
we've
have
had that discussion with you. So,
all the expenditures since I started here.
and I just had the clerk treasurer send us the appropriation detail for the full 2021, so that we can share with everybody. And my intention is to be able to dump it into our spreadsheet, overlay it, and it will start, placing everything where it would belong if we had a true budget.
Yes.
So we can see it, so we can see what that would really look like.
Part of that problem is I don't see some of those bills, like phone bills, internet.
And to me, if they're going to ultimately be paid by the general budget, you wouldn't need to.
I shouldn't.
So
But they're saying
but
it's-
since they're paying it the way they are, it's all showing up under the general. I don't care if it's a K-9, if you bought, investigation tape to go around a crime scene.
Right.
It's all showing up on the same report. And we know that's not a true reflection of what public safety spending
No.
is, so. So I think we're all have the right things in mind. It's just a matter of lining up the ducks and.
We
And,
don't want our chief to be in the position that he has been in the past, where we're tens and tens and tens of thousands of dollars over budget. Okay, so we're going to actively, as a commission, get on top of this budget to ensure that our chief of police here is not in this situation come November, December this year.
It's not a big
With that-
number to overcome.
It is.
It's not, it's just.
They-
With that being
$18,000.
said again, if the board is telling you that the police department is overspent again, the town board has also admitted several times in
That they-
open meetings that they approved every expenditure.
And they did
it was
and they did
brought to
again.
them
And they
for
did
permission
again.
Before it
But
was
Randy,
done.
this is what we're trying to, this, right now, is what we're trying to stop right now, is this adversarial relationship between us, them, you, Brandy. That's why we're telling you to do all this, so we don't have this adversarial.
We're not going to have this.
No, it's the question, the
Well,
hard
and
question
they
gonna come through us.
indicated at
That's
our
the way we're gonna do
meeting
it.
That yes, they had. approved
did.
And
it.
they
So
admitted that
was-
every penny that was spent by
They
the
approved.
police commission
They approved.
/ town police department was approved by the town,
Very
without exception.
Yeah,
Not a penny, correct?
Right, that's
There was
correct.
no unauthorized spending at all.
they
Very
didn't debate that a bit, so,
We just want to be able to have a united front of what you want to call it.
yeah, that's a good
We're
description.
all singing the same hymnal, and we can't do that if there's so many people in there singing.
Right. And we're already 2 months into the process.
Thank you.
Okay.
Now, I have a question of park reverse. Is that inappropriate to ask that now during the meeting? Because I'd like it
No.
on tape.
I don't think so.
About
You have a
what?
question for me?
I do.
Okay.
I've had several people in the community, and you know how that is. You can,
I as well.
for what it's worth, say that our meetings are edited.
Absolutely not.
Okay.
That's
There's
what I
not a
wanted to
single
hear
edited
on
meeting
tape.
on there.
Okay. Well, we
Absolutely
were
not.
getting indications that people who
Absolutely
were
not.
paying money for this were getting special favors.
Absolutely not.
Good to hear.
So when we convene this meeting, correct, we started about what time?
I didn't even
I
look.
think
at
you
it.
started about 5 minutes before he did.
Yeah,
That's correct.
Yeah.
Which was about what time? Do you have a...
35 after maybe?
Okay, so when we conclude this meeting, in the future, we can go on and make sure that the entire meeting with all of that will be covered, and your timestamp would cover that, correct? That's the question
That
has
was
been
one of
stated.
the questions out there. The timestamp sometimes
Didn't match what they...
That's what
That's
I don't know. I'm just
I don't
listening.
have timestamps on my video.
What I'm saying, what the length of the meeting, the length of recording.
It did not match, meaning our minutes show that we started here and finished here prior to me joining, and the tape did not match that length.
Gotcha.
Okay, is that fact?
Not
It is.
not
Yeah.
saying whether it's true or not. Just saying, letting you know,
That's what's been alleged.
and asked and answered. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Anything else, Sandy, on that?
No, I just wanted that on tape because you know how people don't want to believe anything you tell them, so. that's it. And thank you for being here, we appreciate that.
I mean,
We
I
send
spend,
them use
I spend about
reports.
$600 a month out there, Joe, so
I
I'll
have
go and
not
talk to
yet.
him if you want me to.
I didn't figure this was appropriate since we were.
Well, I didn't know if they wanted it in open session, just sending it to them. The use of force stuff, did you?
Yeah, I do want to get it scheduled. We have a March meeting scheduled. I believe we have a date. I don't know if anybody have that date handy? And that would be a good opportunity. I think
have
it's,
it on my
I want to
phone.
say it's late in the
I
month.
do.
It's later in the
I
month.
don't even have my phone with me.
Are we building up quite a few
Maybe
again? Bill?
not.
Oh, I think we got 5 or 6.
Okay, that's not
too
bad.
Alcohol
What's that?
board.
Oh,
We may have had one last night.
Okay.
Well, John, could you email us the next public meeting for us?
Yes. Yes.
Figure it out. or-
Yeah, and we've got it.
Yeah, I mean-
I've got it in my
The
minutes.
24th is when we have
Use
it
of force
scheduled.
March
is always,
24th?
6 p.m.
March
March
24th.
But then we've got
March the 28th,
March 24th.
24th.
I won't be able to be here, John.
Okay.
He's probably
Well,
going
I'm
on
off.
spring break.
getting your hair done.
No comment.
Brave spring
Vacation,
spring
hunting.
training,
Are we
or
meeting
If they're
here?
having
They
it,
can't train
yes.
without me, right?
oh, that's true. There's a lockout
He
though.
probably has grocery shopping to do.
Another question I do
Yeah,
have too,
Florida.
Randy.
Yes, sir.
I would like us, preferably you, to approach Park County Veterinary Clinic about the discount that Heritage offers. However that wants to take place, or if you'd want one of us to go with you, we could gladly do that.
Sandy's a pet lover.
And I think we need a letter too, so there's no misunderstanding,
Yeah.
because sometimes when we speak, and I'm talking about me as well as everyone else, it's not always clear.
Okay.
I am always crystal clear.
Well, except for you, I forgot.
Well, and you can tell us
I can do that.
what they provide, and if you need to put that down on paper, and we can do a letter.
And
you know,
that
from the
gives
commission.
them
Yep.
an
The
opportunity to
opportunity.
know we'd like to shop local,
Yeah.
we'd love to shop local, but we have to budget.
And if it doesn't go that way, then it doesn't go that way. But at least
Okay.
we can explore that option, and that's a win-win for everybody, other than the guy who's getting 50% of what he normally gets. But I think it's a conversation worth having. It really
Is there a
is.
reason not to do that you
No.
feel? No?
Do you know? Has anyone ever approached them in the past, from
No,
the town or the county?
no, but they used to be done down there. And the cost, when we found out we could get it done for free down there, that's where we went.
Sure.
And
Free
then
is good.
They've gotten so many, yeah, free is good. But then they've gotten so many police dogs now and service dogs that they cut it back to half price. So they're just giving us 50% off of medications and treatments.
And that
Okay.
involves driving there,
Yeah.
gasoline, car, people out of county, so that was our trigger to ask about that.
Again, the optics, remember?
Yep. And I've got all the gas receipts from the guys that have been using it. Seems like they're putting more gas in than they're using, so.
That's a good policy.
We like that.
Yeah. Can't complain about that. I'd like to have that report available for the town council
Quarterly.
for their March meeting. Let's say
Okay.
we'll do it on a quarterly basis.
Yes.
That way, if they do want to review it, and if they need it more than that, they can request that through the commission. But we're not trying to create work, extra reports and extra reporting. But I think it's also good.
We're not trying to, we just are.
We just are. But I think it is a good olive branch to give them that maybe on a quarterly basis, and since it is a new program, we're kind of curious how it is working itself out, and I think I'd like to see us do the same thing with our activity logs. Once our systems are all up, is everything up now? Are you able to get all the reports?
No.
Okay.
I've created those reports that I've sent you, and I do get weekly reports of every call we've been on, and I can send you those every week, but it's a lot of reading. It doesn't break anything down. It's detailed every call.
Is there another software program we can get?
There is another CAD system, but that would require the
County. because it's
county
all
to
county.
take care of that.
Okay.
County
and
does all
I've-
the dispatching.
I
We just seem like we're
presented-
waiting for someone to fix
I
the
know.
software for quite a long period of time.
We could request
And they
that
have
the
too.
town
They've been waiting
purchase
a
a
long
CAD
time for
system
it too, and
Yeah.
I don't know what it takes to get a company that's not doing their job.
Okay.
They
Would it
complain
be-
about it too.
I think we've discussed this before. the fact that when they are called out, we have the same criteria for each call, so we know that one person went, they were asked to go, and not just shotgunning it to get out of town and be.
Well, yeah,
So
I
that's
understand
something-
that.
I know you do, and I
But-
still think it's something we need to make.
But Park did break it down, and I think our out-of-town calls were
0.91%.
was
They were
surprised.
surprised and happy
They were
that it
stunned.
wasn't more than it was.
So it's
So-
not as big an issue.
No, but the out-of-town calls we have had, we don't always wait to be asked to go. The
And
night-
Bill kind of explained
The
that.
night Sean called, he was being shot at and he thought he was hit. I didn't have to wait for anybody to tell me. I mean,
Right.
we all have enough common sense that I'm the closest help and I'm the only help out. So I started calling everybody else to come out.
Right.
So, but the guys also should know to call us and let us know as soon as possible that they had, that they had to go out, or leave us a note or something.
There has to be a level of officer discretion on that call, and we recognize that as a commission. Not meaning that we don't want our officers to stay in the city limits of Rockville,
Right.
but there will be instances where we need to get outside, and we would want the county to reciprocate the same way when we need help. And I think they
And they
have.
do.
They
They
do,
do.
yeah. So we just want to, but we'll talk about that at a future meeting too a little bit. But I think we're behind Jill on the intent there. So I think that's the right thing to do. But those activity reports, I'd like to see us go to more of a quarterly thing, even for the town, because again, those reports should come to us really. And if they want to see it, then we'll do it on a quarterly basis maybe. And so if you have them available, don't get into the habit of emailing them every day or every week to us.
Okay.
Just compile them, but be prepared quarterly to produce them
Yep.
when they're needed. So,
Then I can draw up a report for dates
yeah,
and how many different calls. I can do those. But that one where they used to generate every month how many calls each officer had, activity, they're not doing that for some reason right now.
And they're not real accurate because you have some dispatchers that enter every single call, and then you have other dispatchers that will
don't.
not.
okay. Well, sometimes we got to live with what we have,
Right.
and but having something standardized is the goal that everybody has, and because that was very interesting, where you could break down in town, out of town, the different types of calls, what officers are maybe working really heavy, where the next officer's
Yeah.
not. Now you might say, well, that officer was at training for 3 months and wasn't here, so there's
Yeah.
always a lot of explanations
On
for it.
vacation or
On
something,
vacation
yeah.
or
Yeah, every time one of these guys took vacation off, it reflected on their activities, monthly activity reports, and it does that.
okay. I don't have anything further from my perspective, but what about the rest of the commission members? I know we brought up a few topics tonight that we wanted to kick around a little bit, but does anybody have anything else?
I don't.
Just one thing, I really want to figure out some way, because I had to do this in my own business, because I had a lot of vehicles, 15, 20, 25 vehicles on the road, is that this gas thing, we gotta have our pencil sharpened on that. I mean, you're going, if Bill takes his car to the IGA, I'm not looking for him to log the 3.5 miles he did, but I mean, you gotta have a very finely tuned way to keep track of this, or it's gonna bite us in the ass.
Well, and I sent those forms out to the guys, and I've asked them to do off-duty logs separate from on-duty logs, so that it's kept separately. And the biggest reason for that is some guys work all night here and then go right to work somewhere else. There's just a couple of them, but I wonder when he sleeps.
He's young, he can do it.
I guess.
2
I mean,
hours in the
And I
afternoon.
realize I don't want them to be getting the crappy end of the stick either, but on the other hand, if better them than us.
Right.
Because when it comes to dealing with the board.
Yeah, yeah.
And those reports might evolve a little bit, but I think you got a good start, and that's a good idea to keep separate logs, and but all this stuff can evolve a little bit. We've got a laundry list of topics we want to work this year.
We've also
So-
cut back a few things, like we were getting wash coupons from Brian's Laser Wash at a discounted rate. The town was paying for those out of our automotive thing, and I've canceled those and sent them back because of the the complaints about spending. But all that was approved beforehand, but I've canceled it
Okay.
so that we're cutting back. That's why I showed them the stuff and we're canceling the contract with Taser. We're not doing any of that, which was, I would get approved from them before I did it anyway, but
Yeah. Well, and down the road, it may be that we keep some things that we think we may need to cut, or we may cut things.
yeah.
But having good data to base that decision off of is key.
I would also like to point out that public safety is not supposed to be funded solely by public safety funding. And it's not. All over the state, it's not funded solely by public safety tax. There's no way. It was built to supplement expenditures.
I'm all for that. Get it in writing, because I'm all about in writing. And then if we want to have an argument about it or a discussion, then I'd like to be able to see what says what. This is the way we have a leg to stand on. And
Well, that
but
budget
I
gave
support you and I believe you. And
That's what it said.
And what I've learned about what they can do out of the general fund tells you a lot. Okay, so it's just a matter of earmarking that stuff. And like you said, building a fund maybe for replacement of vests or what have you. And
Having a fund that builds up for building repairs.
Yeah.
Or
okay. If there's nothing else,
I would make a motion to adjourn now that these ladies know more about the police commission.
Mission,
than
and they did
ever
it before.
they're both second guessing their decision to stay.
Call in the morning and change your mind.
Thank you, Randy.
Thank you, guys.
All in favor?
Thank you.
Aye.
Aye.
All right.
Congratulations to both of you.